as the schedule rolls forward and the matchup calendar brings another meeting with Oklahoma City. There's a growing sense that this game represents more than just another regular season night. The Warriors arrive carrying momentum, having stacked wins and finally showing signs of consistency after a stretch filled with uneven performances. The record over the last several games suggests a team that is stabilizing, but the eye test still says they are searching for that unmistakable rhythm that once defined them. Facing a Thunder squad that is talented but not fully healthy creates the type of opportunity seasoned teams recognize as a turning point moment. The Thunder have remained competitive despite missing key contributors, but the absence of some of their physical presence changes the dynamic of the matchup. Golden State has struggled against size and interior pressure earlier in the season, and this contest offers a different look. Oklahoma City leans more towards spacing and perimeter versatility without one of their strongest interior anchors, and that could allow the Warriors to dictate tempo in ways they could not in previous meetings. The first two games between these teams were not particularly encouraging for Golden State, but there was clear improvement from one matchup to the next, and that trend matters when evaluating where this group is heading. What stands out is not just the possibility of a win, but how that win could be achieved. A narrow victory, fought possession by possession, would still send a message that the Warriors are learning how to close again. Earlier in the season, games slipped away once opponents pushed back. Recently, that pattern has started to fade. There is more composure, better shot selection late, and a clearer sense of hierarchy when the pressure rises. Against a young Thunder roster that thrives on chaos and transition, composure becomes a weapon. Even so, it would be dishonest to say everything is clicked. Golden State has been winning without fully unlocking its offensive flow. Ball movement flashes brilliance for stretches, then stalls. Defensive rotations look sharp one night and half a step slow the next. That inconsistency is why this particular game feels important. A convincing performance against Oklahoma City could shift the perception around the league. Instead of being viewed as a dangerous but flawed veteran team, the Warriors could re-enter conversations as a legitimate postseason threat capable of punishing mistakes. There is also the psychological side that cannot be ignored. Teams around the league have not feared Golden State the way they once did. Opponents no longer assume that a late deficit is a death sentence. That respect has to be re-earned, and it usually comes back all at once. One statement when often leads to another, and suddenly scouting reports change, defensive schemes tighten, and opponents play a little more cautiously. That is when the Warriors have historically thrived, feeding off that respect and turning it into control. Injuries and availability will inevitably shape the night. Missing a vocal defensive leader creates challenges, especially against a team that thrives on quick decisions and movement. However, there's also curiosity about how the lineup responds when forced to adjust. Sometimes absence reveals new combinations and responsibilities that elevate others. If Golden State can defend collectively, rebound with intent, and avoid careless turnovers, they can neutralize much of Oklahoma City's speed advantage. The center matchup will also be fascinating. Oklahoma City's spacing-oriented bigs pull defenders away from the rim, while Golden State has leaned into versatility and effort rather than raw size. That chess match could determine whether the Warriors can control the paint without sacrificing perimeter defense. If they succeed, it further reinforces the idea that this roster, while different from past championship versions, has learned how to adapt rather than imitate its former self. Beyond this single game, there's a larger narrative quietly building. The Warriors exist in a strange space between past dominance and future uncertainty. They're no longer the unquestioned powerhouse, but they are far from finished. Every win against a strong opponent pushes the timeline back a little further, extending belief inside the locker room and confidence among decision-makers. That belief matters, especially as the season inches closer to the point where front offices must decide whether to push chips in or hold steady. A victory here would not solve everything, but would reinforce the idea that Golden State still has the ability to flip a switch. Momentum in this league is real, and veteran teams understand how fragile it can be. capture it at the right moment, and it carries you through difficult stretches. Miss the opportunity, and doubt creeps back in just as quickly. That is why this matchup feels heavy despite being just one game on the calendar. As the Warriors prepare for tip-off, the focus is less about predictions and more about identity. Can they impose their style, stay disciplined, and respond when the Thunder inevitably make a run? Can they show that the recent wins are not just a favorable stretch, but evidence of genuine growth? The answers will not come all at once, but the first clues are likely to appear under the lights against Oklahoma City, where strong performance could quietly mark the beginning of a different phase of the season. While the focus naturally stays on the court, the reality is that the calendar never stops moving, and the front office pressure begins to rise as the season advances. Around the league, teams are quietly dividing themselves into buyers, sellers, and those stuck somewhere in between. Golden State sits in a uniquely complicated position because they are competitive enough to believe in a run, yet realistic enough to know that standing still can be just as risky as making a bold move. That tension shapes every conversation surrounding their future. Trade speculation always intensifies when a franchise carries both star power and aging mileage. The Warriors are no exception. There's a growing understanding across the league that the era of reckless spending and superstar stacking has cooled. Financial flexibility now carries nearly as much value as raw talent, and teams are far more cautious about long-term commitments. This shift changes how elite players are viewed on the market and how much teams are truly willing to sacrifice to acquire them. One name continues to hover over these conversations, not because of rumor chasing, but because of fit and timing. Acquiring a dominant force in his prime sounds appealing on the surface, yet the cost is rarely discussed with the same enthusiasm. Teams that have emptied their future for a single star often discover that the subtraction outweighs the addition. Depth erodes, defensive versatility suffers, and the margin for error disappears. In today's league, that margin matters more than ever. Golden State, however, operates differently from most organizations. They draft well, develop patiently, and historically extract value from players others overlook. Because of that, future picks do not carry the same emotional weight internally as they might elsewhere. The calculation becomes less about fear of losing tomorrow and more about maximizing what remains today. With a core that has already proven it can win at the highest level, extending that window by even a season or two changes everything. That perspective reframes how draft capital is viewed. First-round selections sound glamorous, but context matters. Picks projected to land late in the round rarely transform franchises, especially when attached to a roster built to compete. History shows that proven stars often deliver far more impact than multiple unknown prospects. The challenge is not identifying that truth, but committing to it without hesitation. There is also the matter of timing. The league has entered a period where contracts are being reevaluated across the board. Massive deals that once felt inevitable now face skepticism. Teams prioritize flexibility, depth, and adaptability, rather than tying themselves to 2 or 3 max-level salaries that restrict movement. This environment benefits franchises that already carry expiring contracts and movable pieces, allowing them to pivot quickly when opportunity arises. Golden State fits that description. Several contracts approach critical decision points, and how those situations are handled will define the direction of the franchise. Moving too early risks dismantling chemistry that is still forming. Waiting too long risks missing the window entirely. That balance is delicate, and it places enormous importance on how the team performs in games like the one against Oklahoma City. Winning clarifies direction. Losing complicates it. Beyond the headline names, there is another layer to consider. Teams undergoing quiet resets often look to offload talent not because it lacks quality, but because timelines no longer align. Those scenarios create chances for contenders to add meaningful contributors without sacrificing premium assets. Golden State has historically thrived in these margins, finding players who flourish once placed into a structured system with defined roles. Depth has become the new currency of contention. The grind of the season, The unpredictability of injuries and the physical demands of playoff basketball all reward teams that can survive rotation changes without collapse. Adding one superstar does not guarantee that resilience. Sometimes, adding the right supporting piece does more to stabilize a contender than chasing the biggest name available. This is why patience remains a weapon. Every week closer to the deadline reshapes leverage. Asking prices soften. Teams reassess priorities. What felt unattainable earlier can suddenly become reasonable. For Golden State, staying competitive keeps them relevant in every conversation. As long as they are winning, they maintain optionality, and optionality is power. Still, none of it matters if the product on the floor does not justify belief. Trade scenarios, future planning, and long-term vision all hinge on credibility. A team that looks disjointed invites drastic change. A team that looks dangerous invites calculated reinforcement. That distinction begins with performances that remind the league who the Warriors are when they play connected basketball. The path forward is not about chasing nostalgia or recreating the past. It is about recognizing what still works, adapting what does not, and refusing to accept irrelevance. Golden State has lived in the space where expectations are suffocating and margins are razor thin. That experience counts for something, especially in moments when others hesitate. As discussions swirl and possibilities remain open, the foundation is still built game by game. Each strong showing strengthens the argument to push forward. Each stumble raises harder questions. The league is watching, not because of rumors or speculation, but because the Warriors remain one of the few teams capable of reshaping the balance of power with a single decisive move, provided they first prove on the court that they're still worth betting on. That proof is measured in details that rarely show up in headlines. Defensive communication, body language during scoring runs, and the ability to respond immediately after a mistake all reveal whether a team is truly connected. Golden State has shown flashes of that edge recently, especially when possessions slow down and execution becomes more important than raw athleticism. Those moments suggest that the internal belief has not faded, even if the league narrative has shifted away from them. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from experience. Younger teams often rely on momentum alone, riding emotional highs and struggling when games tighten. The Warriors understand pacing in a way few teams do. They know when to accelerate, when to settle, and when to trust the system rather than forcing hero plays. That understanding does not guarantee wins, but it gives them a foundation that can be built upon as rotations solidify and roles become clearer. As the season continues to unfold, the tension between urgency and patience will only grow. Every win adds weight to the idea that this group deserves reinforcement rather than restructuring. Every competitive performance sharpens the belief that the window, while narrower, is not yet closed. The Warriors are operating in that space where confidence must be earned nightly, and where each game subtly pushes the franchise closer to its next defining decision. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. The NBA world is buzzing with what could be the most shocking off-season move in years. Whispers from inside the league suggest that LUKA, the Slovenian sensation currently dazzling with the Los Angeles Lakers, has finally given the nod to a move that could reshape the league. According to sources close to the team, LUKA has reportedly said yes to joining the Golden State Warriors, igniting speculation about a blockbuster roster shakeup that fans have only dreamed of. Rumors indicate that the Warriors' front office has been quietly assembling a package that would be almost too tempting to refuse. The so-called mega deal allegedly includes a combination of draft picks, young talents, and role players capable of immediately slotting into a championship-contending lineup. Insiders claim that the leaked details reveal a team willing to gamble big on a once-in-a-generation talent, betting that LUKA's unique skill set could finally give Golden State the dominance they've chased since their last championship run. If true, this would mark a seismic shift in the NBA landscape. LUKA, Drafted third overall by the Atlanta Hawks in 2018 before being traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Trae Young, has evolved into one of the league's most electrifying stars. Known for his court vision, deadly step-back jumper, and uncanny ability to control the tempo of a game, LUKA has become a player whose arrival could instantly transform any team into a contender. Pairing him with the likes of the Warriors' sharpshooters and seasoned veterans would create a hybrid of precision shooting and creative playmaking the league has rarely seen. Speculators are already running scenarios in their heads. How would LUKA mesh with Golden State's fast-paced offense? Could this fusion of stars produce a dynasty-level core capable of dominating the Western Conference for years? The potential for both on-court chemistry and locker room intrigue is immense. Sources suggest that negotiations have been intense, with every move calculated to ensure that LUKA feels both valued and empowered in his new role. While nothing is officially confirmed, the leaked package hints that the Warriors are serious about this gamble. Fans and analysts alike are now on high alert, dissecting every social media post, every cryptic quote, and every trade rumor, trying to piece together a puzzle that could redefine the NBA. If LUKA truly dons the Warriors' colors, the league could be entering a new era where star power converges in unprecedented ways, creating matchups and storylines that will dominate headlines for seasons to come. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.